Hello again, everyone, and welcome back. When I looked over my earlier videos, I realized I made a slight oops in parts 1 and 2. Not anything that drastically changes the content, but it's enough that some will use it to say that I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm sure that some are chomping at the bit to do just that, so I want to try to get out in front of it now. To do that, we need to talk about permit types again. Someone's going to point out that, with the exception of the wine bar I brought up in video one, the part one, the permit types of the businesses I highlighted, which were the mixed beverage permits, are different from the RM permits that Pearland allows right now, and they wouldn't be wrong. When I talked about how the majority of the business types the coalition lists don't make 51% of their revenue from alcohol, that part doesn't change. If a business with a mixed beverage permit did make 51% of its revenue from on premise alcohol consumption, the gun sign would be red. Uh, where I messed up here was not making a distinction when I said that the mixed beverage permit holders with a blue gun sign could come here tomorrow. They could, but they would have to do it under this RM permit, which requires a business to offer at least 8 entrees if they want to serve mixed beverages. Uh, this would be easy for restaurants to do. So those high-end restaurants that I mentioned in part one, it'd be easy for them, but it would be more difficult for the other categories the coalition mentions. And this is one area that people are probably going to ream me, because the argument of we shouldn't make it harder for businesses to come to Pearland has been out there since the start of the ballot initiative. And that's not the main driving force behind the initiative, though, and I'll get to that in a few minutes. The second oops I made was in part two when I said that strip clubs wouldn't benefit from the repeal. As another resident pointed out, RCI Hospitality donated a lot of money in support of this initiative. They also submitted, then withdrew a zone change application. And that's something that's been bugging me. So, why would they help push something that doesn't apply to them? Well, I realize that it would. This repeal, if it passes, would open the door for any business with a mixed beverage permit, even if they're not 51% establishments. And this includes strip clubs. The licensing council involvement, zoning stuff that I mentioned in part two about sexually oriented businesses would still apply, though. Um, since I mistakenly made strip clubs seem like less of a possibility than they may turn out to be, my second oops might not get as much attention as the first. Now, to circle back to the driving force behind the initiative. To do that, we need to look at two parts of the coalition's website and a council meeting from March of this year. So, this sentence here on the coalition's website: to attract professional workers, Pearland needs more things for young professionals and successful families to do. And then we're going to go right back to here from part one: businesses that earn over 51% of their revenue from alcohol. So that's where the focus is. The focus is not so much letting these mixed beverage permit holders with blue gun signs in. It's about letting red gun signs into Pearland, and these are the bars. And we can go back to the March 1st, 2021 council meeting, and this is where the city attorney gives a presentation to council about how to actually go about assisting in a ballot initiative. And we're looking at the Unified Development Code, which defines the tavern as a facility that derives more than 50% of its revenue from sale and on-premise consumption of alcohol. So when the presentation goes on to talk about how council could zone and control these bars with this much reference, this many references to bars, 51% establishments, it becomes clear that the driving force is actually bars. It's not necessarily this, these other venues, event spaces, movie theaters, wedding venues. The focus is going to be getting these bars in first, in the hopes that it draws these young professionals. And then much later on, these other places may move in. So again, the main focus of this initiative is bars, and if the repeal passes to allow these mixed beverage permit holders into Pearland, that opens the door for a lot of stuff. And I know when I started this video, I talked about this zoning. I didn't talk about it, but you saw the zoning map, and I will talk about that in another video since the city attorney brought that up in his presentation to council.